2018. Good morning, please be seated. Welcome to our 2018 commencement honoring McLean School's 16th senior class. Let's begin with a moment of shared silence, please. Thank you. It is truly a joy to be here with all of you this morning. We're here to celebrate many people today. Among them, we honor the talented, committed educators who bring their hearts, their minds, their creativity, and their passion for education in service of our students every day. They stand at the heart of our work. Please join me in thanking them. Our music today is provided by the Commencement Ensemble. Many thanks to Greg Moujon, Performing Arts Department Chair, to Vince McCool, Band Director, and to Kat Whitesides, Strings Director, as well as the students in the instrumental program who are participating today. We're also pleased to have several former students, Scott Draginis, Jordan Jennings, and AJ Salzman in the ensemble. Thank you to each of them. I'm joined on the stage this morning by three people who are important to the school and to this ceremony. I'm joined by Dr. Josephine Diamond, head of the upper school, whose wisdom, compassion, and belief in our students has played such an important role in the success of those we will be honoring today. By Steve Anthony, chair of the Board of Trustees and proud father of Caroline, who is a rising 10th grader. Steve's deep engagement and commitment as both a parent and as a board chair have been an inspiration for me. And by our commencement speaker, John Allison, who I'll introduce formally a bit later in the program. I'm pleased now to introduce the speakers for the class of 2018. Two members of the senior class, Jessica Baskett and Kathy Onsey, who were chosen by the class to speak on their behalf. Jessica Baskett has been at McLean since 3rd grade. She's played soccer and basketball, helping to bring home 2 consecutive basketball championships and a record-breaking undefeated basketball season this year. She's been a member of the Honor Committee and the Equity Board and served as Vice President of the Activity Committee. During her time at McLean, Jessica has been an ambassador and a class representative. We've also seen her perform on stage and help behind the scenes with the stage crew. Jessica will attend the University of Maryland this fall. Now, I discovered this morning that we have a lot of students who started in 3rd grade, and Kathy Onsey has also been at McLean since 3rd grade, and has been an integral part of the school, an integral part of our choral, drama, and musical theater performances, performing in productions since middle school. Kathy frequently speaks publicly to adults about her experiences at McLean. The first time was most notable for me when, as an 8th grader, she was slated to speak on behalf of McLean's annual fund with her father at a back-to-school night and elected to deliver the talk without him. Kathy was a valued member of the prom committee and the improv club, and as vice president for McLean Ambassadors. Kathy shows compassion, creativity, enthusiasm, and a true love for the arts. She will attend American University in the fall. Kathy and Jessica, please approach the podium.
Welcome parents, grandparents, teachers, administrators, students, and friends.
Well, graduation is an exciting time.
That's true. So many memories made over these past 4 years.
You know, Kathy, sometimes when I feel nostalgic, I'm reminded by a quote by Andy Bernard from The Office. I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them.
Yes, I know what you mean. With all these amazing memories, where do we even start?
How about freshman year?
How could I forget about that?
We were welcome to the high school.
And don't forget, Mr. Wilkins was welcomed with us.
Lucky for the two of us, we knew many people from middle school.
You also knew people from being on the girls' basketball team in 8th grade.
And I'm guessing you knew people from the musical.
That's true, but I was trying to highlight the McLean community because Miss Diamond loves that kind of thing. Dr. Diamond!
Remember the shared experience of having Miss Good as our teacher?
She was always so patient and kind.
We wish you all the best in retirement, Miss Good.
Remember how simple our schedules felt? We had English, literature, biology.
Math and history too.
Are we missing any big highlights? Can I please talk about the theater department?
Fine.
Yay! So during our freshman year, we stopped having a middle school and high school play and split the branches. The upper school had its own production of 2 one-act plays. I remember I had to beg Anna to join because we needed another girl. Those plays are filled with my favorite memories of freshman year. What's your favorite memory?
It had to be when we brought back JV soccer to the upper school. It was so great being on a team with girls who were just as excited as I was to have soccer be brought back to our sports program. What a great memory. It's one of my favorite seasons.
I guess it's time for sophomore year.
Ah, the year of work in progress.
I still have that bright red shirt with that work in progress saying on it.
I really wasn't a fan of the saying, but it perfectly described our class.
I mean, look at where we are now. Definite progress.
What do you think were some of our class's defining moments?
Well, we had our first literature class with Miss Carvel. Do you remember the discussions? I remember feeling like an adult while speaking.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, wait, do you remember playing Capture the Flag with all the other grades?
That was so much fun. Didn't you do the musical that year?
I did. It was different and a great experience.
Okay, let's see. Am I forgetting anything?
Remember the elections that year?
Definitely. We both ran for different positions.
I ran for head of activities and you ran for upper school ambassadors.
Yeah, that made things for junior year way more stressful.
Looks like we've reached the part of the speech where we talk about junior year.
Remember being thrown face first into Mr. Booth's class and the surprise when he gave us an essay assignment on the first day?
I remember trying to ask some of the other seniors for help or ideas, and they just looked at me with this weird reaction of laughter and nostalgia.
That's because they were sworn to secrecy, but once we got our essays back, the seniors enjoyed seeing how much we messed up, and then they decided to laugh some more.
Wait, Kathy, we don't want to give too much away about the essay because there could be sophomores in the audience right now. And like you said, we're sworn to secrecy.
You're right. I think it's time to highlight the amazing basketball season the girls had.
We were undefeated and went on to win a championship.
I remember the moment that game ended and all the pride that filled the McLean halls for the rest of the year.
Yes, but we were brought back down to reality when we had our next mountain to climb.
The research paper. Yeah, I think that was the time we all bonded through stress.
I can remember the fear and satisfaction everyone had when they turned in their papers.
I have never felt more accomplished in myself.
Same. It felt like a huge weight was lifted off my shoulders.
That weight came back when it was time for senior year.
We were the leaders of the high school this year.
A fact Mr. Booth made very clear to us every Thursday at our class meetings.
But senior year went by quick.
It felt like just yesterday we got our senior privileges.
Between classes, common applications, and preparing for college, it was hard to focus sometimes.
I feel like we've grown so much as a class this year.
One thing I know I'll remember forever is Miss Carvel's AP English Lit class.
That class definitely forced us to explore other people's opinions and ideas.
Miss Carvel's class wasn't the only class with tons of memories. I heard Mr. Fisher's class was informative, eventful, and fun.
I always heard people talking about that class. Musical traditions in the U.S.
Let's see, what else? Of course, there's prom, senior prank, and senior send-off, and college.
All right, let's go. Prom highlights.
It was a Hollywood theme at the Kentlands Mansion. We had a photo booth, lots of dancing, and everyone looked amazing.
We handed out these little Oscars for things like Best Matching Couple, Best Incorporation of Cartoon Character, and more.
Senior prank was crazy, too.
Yeah, we got lots of strings and zip ties and decorated the high school lockers with them.
It was funny watching everyone's face when they first saw it.
It was surprisingly easy to clean up. All we needed was basically all the scissors in the high school.
So after cleanup, most of us went home to try and get more than 2 hours of sleep.
And we came back for send-off with Carmen's bouncy houses and a lot of yearbooks to sign.
We have made so many memories at McLean.
I truly do wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them.
I guess that's what makes them the good old days. If we knew we were in them, we wouldn't have memories that will last forever.
Well, then, I guess it's time to start making some new ones.
Can I get my diploma first, though?
Okay. Just one more thing to do. Thank you, Mr. Sextonian, for everything you do for McLean. And of course,
thank you, Dr. Diamond!
Thank you, Jessica and Kathy. We're honored to welcome John Allison as McLean's 2018 commencement speaker. Mr. Allison is a passionate educator and advocate for students and teachers. Over his 29-year career, he's served as a teacher, coach, and educational administrator. His inspirational leadership has been recognized in many ways, most recently through selection as the 2018 Kansas State Superintendent of the Year, the highest accolade available to educators in that state. Despite heavy work demands throughout his career, Mr. Allison has also made time for civic and community leadership. He currently serves on local boards of the Chamber of Commerce, the United Way, and the Kansas-Missouri Superintendent's Forum. Mr. Allison holds a Master's of Science from Emporia State University and has completed his doctoral coursework in Education and Leadership at St. Louis University and Southwestern College. His final course in that doctoral sequence was Action Research, taught by our own head of lower school, Dr. Mary Dickerson. During all of this professional and civic activity, John and his wife, Ramey, who is also an educator, raised their 2 children who are now young adults. Please join me in welcoming John Allison to the podium.
Good morning, welcome. I'm so glad that you're all here today to help congratulate our class of 2018. I was a little concerned though when I saw the program that I would be following Jessica and Kathy because they're always the best. No question about it. I was a little surprised when I got the phone call about coming today and being the commencement speaker. And a little out of character, I accepted. Not necessarily something I like to do in giving speeches, but it's part of the job for me as a superintendent. But most of the time what I'm doing is having to talk about bond issues and boundaries and budgets and curricular changes. We're talking to faculty and staff, those types of things. It's not standing at a commencement ceremony. This is a milestone day for our graduates and for you all. So a commencement speech carries extra pressure. Unlike the tight focus I have to have in my job, this one's pretty wide open. There weren't any limitations on what I got to say today. So, Dr. Dickerson, I'm sorry about your job security, probably on the line by the time I get finished. As I thought about today and look back over now 30 years in education and tried to tally how many graduations I've been a part of, it's close to 100. And when I thought of how many hands I've shaked of students coming across the stage, it's somewhere between 35 and 40,000 students. So while I'm not an expert on giving a commencement speech, because honestly, this is my first one, I'm a bit of an aficionado on having listened to all sorts of commencement speeches over the years. And honestly, the ones I remember are the students. It hasn't been the adult that's supposedly bringing great wisdom or some experience and giving you all advice. The wisdom comes from the student speeches. So I'm trying to keep that in mind for today. As I thought about what I was going to say today, I could have gone down the tired path of the traditional graduation cliches and platitudes. This is the beginning. The future belongs to you. This is your day. Today is not the end of your education, but the beginning. And while every one of those is true, I felt you deserved something a little bit more original. And as I said, this being my first time to give a commencement speech, even though I've been on the stage over 100 times, my stress level started to go up a little. I didn't have a mindfulness program to help me measure out and adjust and to think about it. So as I thought about what I'd say, I did what everybody else does. I went to YouTube, I went to Google. I tried to think about all those speeches, and as I said, I couldn't remember much from any of the adults. It was always the students. I found some incredibly passionate and intelligent commencement speeches, and I thought, I don't know if I can match that. And then I made the huge mistake of stumbling upon 2 videos from past graduations here, when I saw the Attorney General and the Secretary of State. And I thought, what the heck am I doing? Why a superintendent from Kansas when there have been those type of luminaries that have been here to speak before graduates and parents? Then I began to really panic. I thought, how do I get out of this? And you're not thinking straight when the panic level rises. And I began to kind of think about how much would it hurt to really step in front of a bus? No one could blame me if I wasn't here. They'd feel sorry for me. How painful could it really be? And that's the point at which I had the opportunity, Dr. Diamond set up a phone call where I could talk to several of the graduates here. And I got to listen to them, and I asked them, what do you want to hear from a commencement speaker at your graduation? And then we got into the conversation of what has made this school so special for them. What were they going to leave as graduates? I no longer thought about stepping in front of a bus. I realized where I could go today. One of the things that they asked was a little bit of my story, which is, you're probably wondering, why is a superintendent from Kansas here? Is because, like you, I had a few struggles when it came to my education. I'm dyslexic. And it's something that for some of you with different educational issues, it is who we are, and we have to embrace it. It creates a challenge, and it's hard when I looked at my peers, and I couldn't understand why an assignment took them 20 minutes, and it took me 40. Why I struggled to read early on, where so many of my classmates were getting moved to the Redbird and the Bluebird group, and I was somewhere else. The school spelling bee was a horror show for me. My spelling, atrocious. Always has been, always will be. My handwriting, and yes, you used to get a grade in handwriting, believe it or not, indecipherable by almost anything. But that's who we are. That's who and what we will have to face as we move forward, whether it's in school or in your career as you move forward. Nobody dreams of being a superintendent. Never been to a career fair where anybody says, I want to be a school superintendent. That was me. I wanted to be a doctor. But when I got into college, I had a physics class that made no sense. It didn't matter how hard I tried, how many tutors I went to, and that dream ended. And it was a friend that badgered me about, let's go into you need to be a teacher. You need to go into education. And as I thought about where I wanted to be and who I valued and who had made the difference in my life, it was teachers. So for me, that's the path I went down. So I encourage you as you move forward and you're thinking whether it's college or culinary school, or I understand a few of you maybe the military or even the Peace Corps, know that that's just a step. But you have all sorts of opportunities. And it was your classmates that I really want to thank for how I'll wrap up today in these comments. Traditionally, commencement speaker comes up, it's some old person that tells you some wisdom and advice that you will not remember by lunch tomorrow, in all honesty. And what I realized in talking to your classmates is there's no wisdom or advice I could give you. What I can do is encourage you to embrace who you are and what you've learned here at this school. Because you have the foundation, regardless of what you decide to do in the future, to be successful because of what you've been provided. When I think about the core values here, creativity, innovation, intellectual curiosity, academic achievement. The academic achievement is what we think about when we think of school. But you're more than a test score or some piece of knowledge. How old do you have to be to run for the House of Representatives? Can you tell I was a social studies teacher? Because that's the first one that comes up. It's the other pieces, creativity, innovation, intellectual curiosity. Those are the aspects that will make you successful. It's what I, both locally and nationally, have had the opportunity to serve on a number of Chamber of Commerce discussions about what do we need to do as educators to prepare students to enter the real world, the business world. And those are the things I hear about. You've been provided the opportunity to be creative, to be innovative, to allow your intellectual curiosity to go where it takes you. Self-advocacy. You've been given the tools to advocate for yourself. I can't tell you how important it is. Your community service, another connection to understanding how the community is so important. All of these pieces are life lessons. The academic piece, as much as teachers, we'd like to think each of our course content is the most important. In reality, it's not. It's these other aspects that you will use to be successful as you move forward. I can promise you it's not going to get any easier. If you've got some challenges now, those challenges will stay with you, but you have the foundational pieces and have learned how to deal with them and to make them an advantage. When I think about handwriting, my handwriting's still lousy. Emails, I hate email because I'm so paranoid that anything I send out won't be grammatically correct or have a spelling error. It takes me much longer to get through email. I hate Twitter. I'm trying to get into Twitter, but again, I worry and it takes me 5 minutes. You all have just sent probably 15 Twitter messages during my speech. Help me, I need to get out of here, whatever that may be. But the future's yours. It really is. I'm going to ask two things of you today. When you finish with the graduation ceremonies, I want you to find that family member that's here supporting you today, and if they're not here, I want you to say thank you. Because each of us has a special person that has helped pick us up when we're down, push us when we need to be pushed, and you need to give them that heartfelt thank you that they deserve. The second, and I know you had senior dinner an opportunity to talk to your teachers, I want you to do something old school. I want you to do it the next couple days because you'll forget if you don't. I want you to write a note to the teacher that's made the biggest difference for you. Just a quick thank you. Because I will tell you, over 30 years, I have a folder that to this day, if the office was on fire, it would be the only thing I grab, because it's notes from my past students. And on those days where I pull that top drawer out and open that folder and think about what's my career change going to be, I read a few of those notes. And it makes a difference. Your teachers work hard. They commit of themselves to make sure that you're successful. And those little notes make a huge difference. So with that, I know that you all are going to be successful. You have the foundations. What you have leaving here puts you head and shoulders above so many of your peers. And just remember this, once a Mustang, always a Mustang.
Thank you, John, for those wise words. And you can tell he's an educator because he assimilated what it is about McLean School that is so special, including Mustang Pride. So thank you. It's my pleasure to announce Stefano De Maria as the valedictorian for the class of 2018. Stefano has a strong work ethic and expects nothing short of excellence. He has a deep desire to learn. This year, Stefano enrolled in 3 advanced placement courses, in addition to creative writing, multivariable calculus, and chorus. He received departmental honors in English, Spanish, and the performing arts, and was recognized by the state of Maryland for his academic achievement. He's been a member of the Honor Committee and the Improv Club, has represented McLean as an ambassador, and has served as class representative. In addition to his participation in the theater and choral programs, Stefano has run cross-country, played basketball, and wrestled. He has interests in the arts, government, politics, and the environment. Stefano will take his many interests to Kenyon College this fall. Stefano, would you come forward, please?
Good morning, parents, teachers, administrators, students, family, and friends. Irish playwright Samuel Beckett once said, "Ever tried? Ever failed? No matter. Try again. Fail again. Fail better." I remember when I was a freshman, I was determined to do well. I felt I was a strong student throughout my early academic life, and I definitely wasn't going to slow down when I came to high school. So naturally, it came as a shock when I got my first essay back in English class. C. My heart sank to the floor. I remember thinking, it's over. You see, I developed this fear of failure before I came to high school, and for me, I felt that anything below B was a failure. While it seemed to help me do well in academics before I came to high school, it sent my anxiety right through the roof when I started. I was expecting to have these unbelievable achievements as a freshman, and when I failed to meet my expectations, I felt the failure through my whole body. Flash forward to the start of junior year and 11th grade English. We'd all heard about this 11th grade English teacher through older students who had him. The stories about the first essay sounded unbelievable. Rarely did anyone get above a C. I hated failure, and since I'd done better in my sophomore year, I was determined to prove this English teacher wrong. I said to myself, I know how to write. I'm a junior, for crying out loud. I can write. Not exactly. As evidenced by the C scrawled at the end of my first essay in 11th grade English. Well, if I was to believe Beckett's quote, I tried again, I failed again, but I didn't feel any better. But over my last 2 years here at McLean, I realized that I needed that failure to achieve the success that I would later celebrate. I realized that the venom of failure is the primary ingredient in the recipe for success. Class of 2018, we're at a point where in the next several years, we'll be making some gigantic decisions. To some of us, this is a time of uncertainty, a time of fear of the unknown, of fear of failure. We'll be facing challenges and making mistakes we could have never dreamed of. But with each mistake comes an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to analyze, an opportunity to just hit the pause button and think. And if McLean's taught us anything, it is to see as this opportunity to learn. The greatest lessons that we will ever learn will be from the mistakes we make, from the failures that we overcome. Use these mistakes and use these failures as an opportunity to learn. Why? Because learning doesn't stop at the end of high school. Learning doesn't stop at the end of college. Learning doesn't stop at getting a doctoral degree. Learning doesn't stop at living to 100. Learning doesn't stop at having traveled to every single country on earth. Learning doesn't stop. Failure is temporary. Failure is finite. Learning is forever. Learning is infinite. And we, the class of 2018, have shown that we have learned how to learn. There have been acceptances to some stellar schools these past few months. Emory University, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, Swarthmore College, University of Maryland, Haverford College, Kenyon College, American University, Hofstra University, Ohio University, University of Pittsburgh, Vassar College, University of Miami, and Colgate University. Just to name a few. To have been accepted to all those schools, many of us had to overcome this fear of failure, whether we admit it or whether we don't. And who helped us overcome that fear of failure? Our teachers. Our teachers have shared their knowledge and their expertise with us. As a class, we need to make the best use of this gift to develop into our own unique person and overcome any failures that we will experience in life. I'm positive that's what each of our teachers would want for us. While I'm speaking about our teachers, I have a request for the class of 2018. Now, at the end of this ceremony, I know you want to go out. I know you want to celebrate with your friends. But just go up to a teacher, any teacher, and thank them personally for what they have done for you. You may not realize it now, but you'll realize it soon. You'll realize that you obtain an education that's truly unique. You might call it transformative. You're welcome, Mr. Sexton. As graduates, we'll reap the benefits of what we have learned here at McLean for years. Remember these teachers, our teachers, whether it be Mr. Booth for forcing us to write at the college level by any means necessary. Thank you, Mr. Booth. Mr. Tyson for going on another rant about how Bitcoin is apparently a scam. And for educating the class of 2018 on financial literacy and its importance. Thank you, Mr. Tyson. Mr. Moore for allowing us to develop the skills necessary to debate issues logically, to debate issues realistically. Thank you, Mr. Moore. Mr. Majon for showing us the importance of the arts and how to perform at the professional level. Thank you, Mr. Majon. So, class of 2018, parents, friends, please join me in applauding our teachers. The future ahead is scary. We're diving from an airplane into a hurricane. But let's not forget, there is calm inside the eye of the hurricane, and that is where we need to be. No matter what turmoil is happening around us, as we've learned here at McLean, we can stay focused and we can move forward. So yes, we're going to have these major issues to face throughout our lives. But if anyone's got this, if anyone's ready to take these issues on head first, if anyone is ready to fail and then learn from those failures to improve, if anyone is ready to show the world just what we're made of, It's us. The graduating class of 2018, we have made it. So, remember these words, and know, you've got this. Don't be afraid to fail. Fail again. Fail better. Move on. Let's get to these diplomas already. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefano, and let's move forward. Yes. Wise words. The Ham Bishop Award honors McLean's first headmaster. Ham Bishop served McLean through its transition from a proprietary school to the nonprofit independent school we have today. Through his leadership and that of the founding board, McLean moved onto this campus to continue the important and challenging work that is still our mission, to make education accessible to a broad range of learners. In the fall of 2011, Ham passed away after a long and notable career in education, always in his own life an example of service and devotion. The Ham Bishop Award honors a current faculty or staff member for service and devotion to McLean School. Nominations come directly from the entire faculty and staff, and this year we have 2 recipients. Each was nominated by more than one person, and in keeping with McLean tradition, they will be recognized by some of the colleagues who nominated them. For the first recipient, I'm delighted to welcome Mike Carson, McLean's former Director of Technology Innovation.
Good morning. I'm here to recognize a very important member of the McLean School community. This individual has been a member of the technology office for the last few years. He has been described by his colleague, Hannah Margolis, 4th grade teacher, as the single link that keeps our school cutting edge and functioning. He puts in countless hours, often sacrificing his own needs in service of McLean students, faculty members, staff, and parents. When asked to help with a project, small to gigantic, he always replies, "Yeah, I can do that," and immediately goes to work. It doesn't matter if it's a first grader who is desperately trying to get a science app to work on his or her iPad, or a staff member who needs just a simple database built in a week. He is committed to the highest quality of workmanship and service. When asked about this year's Ham Bishop Award winner, upper school teacher Mr. Beliveau wisely stated, "When it comes to helping us out, he just can't help himself." Lower school teacher Miss Wilson says, "Despite an extremely long commute every day on 66, he arrives at school with a calm demeanor, a great sense of humor, and a willingness to help anyone out, no matter how busy he is or how many fires he needs to extinguish that morning." From building a piece of software in a week that would have cost the school $10,000 to buy, to reconfiguring an entire phone system in a few hours, to helping Miss Minkin fix a 3D printer in a jiffy so that students can print their exciting 3D design projects, there's nothing he cannot and will not do. His colleague, Miss Margolis, further states, "He teaches us in a gentle and kind way. I always look forward to his help and guidance. When he does the job right, things run so smoothly that he almost disappears from our sights. I believe that he should be recognized and celebrated." I'm proud to have Colby Hauser as a colleague and a friend, and to present him with this year's 2018 Ham Bishop Award.
Come on up, Colby.
excuse me if I sound a little weird. I'm really excited and honored to get this award. This school has been a family for me. Since moving up to this area from Oklahoma, this has been like my central hub, and I just love it here. There's a lot of wonderful people here, the students are amazing, and I just thank you all for everything.
Thank you, Carson, and thank you, Colby, for all you do for us. Now, as I mentioned, this year we have a second Ham Bishop Award, and to recognize that recipient, I invite to the podium Robbie Hitzelberg, middle school Latin teacher Robbie Hitzelberg, and middle school learning specialist Susan James.
So I first met this person 4 years ago at a end of the year faculty meeting, and I remember thinking that she was vocal and smart and direct, and she is all of those things. But in the past 4 years, I've also learned that she is hardworking and compassionate and open. Heavenly demonstrates true dedication to her students and to her professional growth on a regular basis. She advocates for her students' needs by reaching out to teachers, parents, and support staff alike. She doesn't shy away from feedback, often going out of her way to seek help and information on how to improve her projects or her lessons. She's committed to developing global citizens in her world geography class. She coaches cross-country, stays for many after-school activities, and is a leader in our mindfulness program. She also volunteers her spring break to take a group of students to Italy and all of the time that leads up to that trip. She works tirelessly alongside her colleague, Mr. Hitzelberg, to make sure that that trip is safe and exciting and educational. Heavenly has led and grown the Middle School ACES Club, which helps to educate our students on how to make our school a safe and inclusive environment. Through her work with ACES, she has supported and guided our students in making the Day of Silence a meaningful experience for all participants. Some of the wonderful events she has helped coordinate this year include Meeting Malala and this year's visit by Senator John Lewis. In her role as middle school inclusion coordinator, she collaborates and leads professional development sessions that focus on our school's commitment to equity and inclusion. She doesn't shy away from a tough conversation and always approaches those conversations with an eye towards growth and understanding. Heavenly has been a friend, and I personally have grown from knowing her.
When I met Heavenly, I didn't see her at first, but I heard her laughter flooding and filling the middle school hallways, which is an apt way of describing her effect on McLean. I truly didn't get to know her until I asked her to chaperone the Italy trip with me when, poetically, many of the members of this graduating class were in the 8th grade and setting off for Europe, including Grayson. During our next trip to Italy, I realized at the airport that one of our students could not board the plane because her passport expired too close for Italy's entrance standards. I had no clue what to do, and I cannot stress how heartbreaking and gut-wrenching it was for me to look this student in the eye knowing that I let her down. But when I did not have an answer, Heavenly did. While traveling to Rome with 15 other students, Heavenly was also on the phone working to procure a visa so that student could meet us in Italy. When we found out that that student's flight was earlier than expected and in a completely different city, the group being in Florence, Heavenly booked tickets on a billet train so the student could be greeted at the airport in Rome with a friendly face. When the proper paperwork was not filled out to allow Air France to put the student in our custody, Heavenly sat at the airport for hours, going back and forth in both English and French to fix the problem. When that delay had caused the pair to miss their scheduled train back to the group, Heavenly adjusted and made sure they arrived in Florence to join us instead of just waiting for the group's return. Finally, having arrived in Florence just in time to have missed our adventure to the Academia to see the David in our city tour, instead of just meeting us at dinner, Heavenly, certainly exhausted, tired, and hungry, took that student to the Duomo in the baptistry for a small taste of the Renaissance city because she wanted that student to have some experience with the incredible city of Florence. It is no wonder that while working alongside Heavenly, helping facilitate clubs, classes, and study abroad trips, I repeatedly reflect that I am witnessing a maestro at work that so few will ever get to fully appreciate. But whose standard I strive to live up to. She managed her students with humor, kindness, empathy, and a strict hand equally mixed with a caring nature. She compounds those traits with the acumen of seasoned event planner, globetrotter, empathetic world citizen, and master teacher. Every class, club, or trip she's involved in, or student she teaches succeeds and flourishes because of her presence. She is a, if not the, keystone of the middle school program. I adamantly believe that if you do not know something, you need to ask someone smarter than you. She is always the first person I seek out when I need a brain to pick, and there is no wonder that she has a line of faculty and staff always at her door. She has been a mentor to both children and adults, and it is my honor and great pleasure to present the Ham Bishop Award to Heavenly Hicks.
This would be the day that I have to take off my stilettos.
There we go. Hold it.
Thank you, Susan and Robbie, and congratulations, Heavenly. It's our practice to celebrate lifers in our graduating class, and this year we have one. Please join me in acknowledging Talia Holmes. Talia has been at McLean since kindergarten, and she will attend LaSalle University this fall. Now, Talia, please don't come up yet, because there's more. And those of you who were paying attention in literature class know about foreshadowing. So let me move to the next topic. The Head of School Award is given to a senior who embodies McLean's values and spirit and who seeks to foster them in others. This year's recipient, listen, has been at McLean since kindergarten. And always has a positive attitude and a huge smile. She has worked as a McLean ambassador and has been a member of the Discipline Committee, Activity Committee, and Stage Crew. We have seen her play soccer and basketball and recognize her efforts as manager of the championship girls varsity basketball team. She approaches everything she does with dedication, drive, and sincerity. Her desire to help people, her optimism, and her love of learning are contagious. As I mentioned earlier, she will attend LaSalle University in the fall. Talia Holmes, please come forward to accept your award. speak with you, McLean's class of 2018, and to facilitate this important celebration of your accomplishments in your move to greater independence. I've enjoyed getting to know you, seeing you around school, in performances, on the athletic field, absorbing your artwork, and speaking with you in advisory lunches. In a school that matches terrific academics and broad extracurricular offerings with a foundation built upon care and support, a school where everyone looks out for each other, you are a senior class that stands out for its caring nature. As Ms. Diamond mentioned in her remarks at Senior Dinner Wednesday, the outside world got a sense of this when he visited the Senior Center at Ingleside at King's Farm with Lynx Generations on our all-school service day. The seniors loved having you. Here are some of the things you reported learning from that experience. And these are taken from the survey afterwards. As teenagers, we take our abilities, like being able to walk and hear well, for granted. Old people have many stories to tell, and young people should listen to them. Music connects people, and you can have fun at any age. So very perceptive and observations from a very connected group. You're also a steady group, working thoughtfully towards your goals. This has been apparent in so many of your activities, most recently in the quality of your senior projects. These are powerful attributes and ones that will serve you well as you move forward into new communities and face new challenges. Finally, you are a diverse and talented group. You've each found and followed areas of individual passion. We see this in your artwork, we read it in your essays, we marvel at it in your robots, we revel in your athletic achievements, we relish it on stage and backstage. I commend you for finding and developing these parts of yourselves that nourish you. By pursuing them, you take care of yourselves just as you take care of each other. I encourage you to keep those special parts of yourselves alive as you take on new challenges in college and work that will compete for your attention and energy. Of course, you also leave McLean School with our signature set of skills that will serve you throughout life. Skills of self-awareness, resilience, and self-advocacy. This distinctive combination, care for community, care for yourselves, and skills for success, position you powerfully for the future. I know you'll put your knowledge and special abilities to good use. Determine your goals and work hard to achieve them. Stay on track, and if you need assistance, seek it out. That is the McLean way. We will be sad to see you go, but I know that you will always be a part of McLean and that you take McLean with you. Please stay in touch. Visit often. I hope to see you at next year's graduation. Next, Dr. Josephine Diamond, our extraordinary head of upper school, will call out the names of the graduating class.
All right, you all ready? Corey Barrett Altman. Joshua Amako Ata. Jessica Lorraine Basket. Braithwaite. Hayden Carter Burns. Noah Arthur Cassidy. Stefano Frank DiMaria. Paul Michael Diallo. Omar Bashir Ducray. Rachel Fanny Ehrlich. Amelia Naomi Hoffman. Talia Sierra Holmes. Anna Pern Houston. Grayson Patrick Junkin. Nicholas Joseph Kalinowski. Nicole Elizabeth Lennon. Ryan Campbell Marnie Bell. Matthew Michael Monteith. Rose Edith Moore. Noah Stephen Morris. Catherine Ann Onsi. Maya Rachel Pingo. Alana Marielle Petoskey. David Owen Pritchard. Alexander Youngju Ra. Daniel Adam Romanek. Hunter Banks Ruderman. Kyle Alexander Rule. Chandler Peyton Schultz. Okay, turn your tassels to the left. Ladies and gentlemen, the Plains class of 2018.
pleased to announce as our next speaker, Steve Anthony, Chair of McLean's Board of Trustees. Steve joined the McLean community in the fall of 2013 when his daughter Caroline came to the 5th grade. He became a trustee of the school a year later and chair of the board in July 2016. Steve is a partner in the Washington, D.C. law firm Covington & Burling, where he is deputy chair of the firm's global litigation practice. Steve was a federal prosecutor before coming to private law in 2000. In 5 years as an assistant attorney, U.S. attorney, and 3 years as a trial attorney in the public integrity section of the criminal division at the U.S. Department of Justice. Steve prosecuted cases involving bribery, extortion, obstruction of justice, and fraud. Steve earned his undergraduate degree from Dartmouth College and his law degree from Columbia University. Most importantly, from my point of view, Steve has been a terrific partner and visionary leader of the school. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Anthony, Chair of the McLean School Board of Trustees, who will introduce McLean's alumni class of 2018.
Good morning. So according to school tradition, it's my job to be the last speaker before you get up out of those chairs and go get some refreshments. But I'm going to finish strong, I promise. So there's actually going to be a surprise ending, so stick around. Earlier this year, I had a striking reminder of my own high school experience. My daughter, Caroline, who's a rising 10th grader, was assigned to read William Golding's Lord of the Flies. And I practically wrestled with her over that book. Now, I imagine many of you in the graduating class may have read Lord of the Flies at some point in your upper school years. And many people in my generation are familiar with the plot. An airplane carrying students taking refuge from a war-torn England crashes on a remote Pacific island. The boys are stranded with no grown-ups around, no sign of an immediate rescue, and no rules. With a swiftness that shocks the reader, they divide into different warring tribes headed by rival leaders and soon dissolve into lethal violence against one another. We see one of the leaders, Ralph, fleeing from a pack of pursuing boys who have set the island ablaze and are chasing after him, intent on doing him in. He trips and sprawls at the feet of a British naval officer from a ship that has arrived to rescue the boys. And the officer says, in a superior tone, "I should have thought a pack of British boys would have been able to put up a better show than that." Now, I first read Lord of the Flies as a high schooler in the 1970s. I thought it was a parable about the rise of fascism in Nazi Germany, or the rise of McCarthyism in the US in the early 1950s. Today, I see the book differently, more painfully, as a foreshadowing of our own time right now in 2018. Now, nothing I'm about to say right now is a new observation, so I don't pretend to offer unique insights when I say this. Our society has become increasingly, disturbingly tribal. We are divided more bitterly than we have been in decades. I want to say a few words about one particular aspect of public life, and that is the erosion of a shared value. That value is that we must treat others with respect, just as we expect others to treat us with respect. Now, I bet a number of you members of the class of 2018 have paid more and more attention to the outside world as you grew through your teens. And as you paid increasing attention to the wider world, I imagine you've been surprised and dismayed at the way adults sometimes treat one another. Look at our public officials and political candidates. How often have you observed that for a candidate of either party, it's never enough to say you disagree with your opponent. You have to say your opponent doesn't believe in American values, that your opponent prefers violent gang members over innocent American lives. The television personality uses a terrible racial slur to refer to a public figure. Just days later, a different television personality at the other end of the political spectrum uses a vulgar sexist slur to refer to a different public figure. And then people earnestly debate whether the two slurs are equally bad or not. just to understand what's happening in the world, I've had to learn some new phrases, unfortunately. I've learned such terms as doxing, revealing to the online world the highly personal data of a perceived enemy, such as the home address of a political critic. Or here's another term, swatting, calling in a false police report to trigger an armed police strike on the home of a chosen victim. That happened just this week to a Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School student activist. So here's what I ask of you, our graduates today. Do not forget what you have learned at McLean School. In this extraordinary community of learning, you have become steeped in the values of decency and civility. You've learned the values of mindfulness. From the earliest grades in our school, you have practiced mindfulness as a healthy way of living in the world. You have engaged with teachers and staff in learning ways to successfully and safely navigate the online world. Your education has been shaped by the school's core values, a key one of which is respect through attentiveness to attitudes, behaviors, thoughts, words, and interactions. So I imagine you may occasionally look at the outside world and be stunned at the difference between our values and what goes on in the world. I wonder how much better off our society would be today if we adults had truly held firm to the values you members of the class of 2018 have embraced. You will now be moving on to college and to the outside world. I look at you and I imagine something close to the opposite of the final scene in Lord of the Flies, where the British naval officer scoffs at the foolish schoolboys who had so quickly dissolved into violence and hate and abandoned civilization. Perhaps for your generation, the tables have turned. It is you who can teach us grown-ups an awful lot. You grew up being taught not to engage in cyberbullying. Now it's our turn to listen to you. I'm excited for your future and for the good you can do for our society. Congratulations, Godspeed, and get out there and start teaching the rest of us. And so now I speak to you, all the members of our McLean School community, and say it is my great pleasure to introduce to you the McLean School alumni class of 2018.
Thank you, Steve. I want to thank the many people who worked so hard to make today's commencement run smoothly, especially Glenn Peterson and his crew for working tirelessly to set up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for participating today in this little bit of McLean's history. The class of 2018, McLean's 16th graduating class, joins the ranks of 418 McLean graduates. Please remain at your seats as the faculty and then the graduates process out. We will all reassemble for a reception in the gym. Graduates, we cannot say goodbye, only farewell. In McLean tradition, we will conclude with this Irish proverb. May the road rise to meet you, may the wind be always at your back, may the sun shine warm upon your face, and rains fall soft upon your fields, until we meet again.